About a year ago, maybe just under, I came over to East Sussex to my little farm to meet with Kiva. Hello, Kiva.
Hey, Richard.
It's, as I say, it's just been under about 11 months, I think, last year. And you just set up this wonderful project here on the South Downs. And you took us on a tour of this great My Little Farm. And in that year, we've just come back to have a little update. And what you have done is mind-blowing. There's pigs. I think you only had chickens before.
Yeah.
And so much of the land, of course, is now being occupied. You had a tiny little area.
Yeah.
So, Kiva, it's nice to see you again.
Really good to see you.
Thanks for inviting us back. And it's great to see something that started, especially in the farming, with members of your group, really excelling and taking off. It's a good news story.
Yeah.
Which is what we want.
It's coming together.
So tell us what's happened over the year.
So I can't thank you enough, Richard, because last year, following your video, that really ignited momentum in what we're doing here. Your audience is clearly really engaged in wanting to make change in this space. We purchased the land as a family a few years ago, and saw what was happening and felt concerned. And through beginning the project, we realised that what we needed to do was to redistribute ownership of the land, and felt that was crucial in terms of making change on a national scale. We need to redistribute the farmland across the communities and provide access to that land, so it can be a place that's providing food, but also a place for people to come together, connect with the land, connect with where their food is coming from, and build that ultimate connection.
Yes. And so many people are feeling that at the moment. Isn't that strange? I mean, we've had all this bad stuff, and people are realising the food in the supermarkets is not very nutritional, but there's that need to connect with the land.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think doing it alone is so hard. It's hugely expensive. This is going to be over £1 million really to get this farm set up. So doing it ourselves as a family alone is just impossible.
Yes.
And it also takes a huge amount of work.
So when we came before, I think there was just you, me, your good lady Law.
Yeah.
And she was pregnant.
She was.
You now have a young daughter.
We've got a little one.
Which is absolutely amazing. But now, looking around, if I just move out the way, we can see that there are people on the land, and as I said, you've got animals as well, and it's being developed, isn't it? People are digging and they're putting stuff into the ground, which you must be very proud of what's gone on.
It's amazing. After you left last year, I think in the previous video I foolishly said that we didn't need a tractor.
So you've got one then, have you?
We've got a tractor now.
Brilliant.
We learned that pretty quick, that once the first step of basically preparing the ground, we'd use the tractor to move, I think it was about 150 cubic metres of organic manure that we've put down to build these vegetable beds, and so using a tractor to get this first stage of the process.
Are you
done.
doing no dig?
It's no dig, yeah. So in the first vegetable gardens we built initially with basically a wheelbarrow and a broad fork. We laid cardboard and then put the compost directly on top. Here what we've done is we've done an initial we initially subsoiled it. So with a big knife on the back of the tractor, we've driven in line with the contour of the hill, spaced by about 1 metre. So we're sort of cutting a slit which just helps to aerate the soil. And then we've done what's called a power harrow. So it's a machine that goes on, a tool that goes on the back of the tractor that turns the soil that way. So you're not rotating it, but turns it that way, just to create the first stage, which allowed us then to turn the soil onto the bed, and then we finished it off with manure, to simply allow us to do the project quicker and with lower cost, because
Right.
the upfront cost of organic compost or manure is just really expensive. And then we've tarped it, so the whole of the winter we've had it tarped to then let it settle, and then we've been pulling those tarps off over the past few weeks. Now the ground is beginning to finally dry.
Well,
and
I was going to
recover.
say,
Yeah,
we've seen the wettest winter, have we
it's
not?
just been so wet.
And it's not been cold, and with the frost that you would normally want in to set certain plants off, would you?
Yeah.
To the seeds to germinate, as I understand. I mean, you know, what do I know?
Yeah.
And so dealing with the water, even on the downs, because we've got the downs here, and we're still sort of in the lee of it, really. What was the water like?
So
Did it settle?
we've had a real challenge. We've got quite a dense clay soil here, and so that's become really waterlogged in areas. And so it's been a learning curve. It's really allowed us to see where we get those problem areas, and so we're now working on designs to channel the waters to areas that we want it. So hopefully this coming winter we'll be better prepared, because we've had
Let's walk.
basically
walk down.
for probably about 6 months we've not been able to move things around the land. It's just been so hard, even walking, just the bogginess of the ground.
And presumably all this weather that we know is being manufactured against us, is that that must have affected what you could put into the ground at different times?
Yeah, so we're starting a bit later now in terms of getting things into the ground, so we really need to get pressing now in terms of catching up. But we've not been as impacted as other farmers that are reliant on getting big heavy machinery onto the land to do the planting, because we can, from this point on, this will be cultivated by hand with hand tools.
Yes.
So we're more flexible in that respect. But I think we would like to establish more undercover growing areas to just protect us a bit more from those external, hard to control factors.
And when you say undercover, do you mean greenhouses, that sort of
That
thing?
would be ideal, yeah. If we can do that. We're in the South Downs National Park here, so there's stronger planning restrictions, so we'll need to navigate those to get the permanent greenhouses in place. So at the moment everything we're doing is temporary structures that we can move about, and there's been benefit to that, because as we've been working our plans have changed quite a lot, so doing things with temporary structures allows us to make mistakes.
So just on that note, I mean, when you started this up, you had grand plans. How, as the year has progressed, have those plans changed and adapted?
I think the ultimate plan for us is to establish a model that allows communities to come together, purchase land, turn it into a vibrant small holding that's providing to roughly 100 families. So that's been amazing over the past year, that we're proving that there's an appetite for it. We're developing a model that works from a financial perspective as well as a food production and doing good stuff to the land perspective. So that's been proven, feeling like that we're building momentum with that. And so now it's a case of putting it all into action here. And so now we've got some piglets here, you can see.
You've got piglets. Look at these little blighters, and they do look delightful. And what beautiful colours.
So these,
Hello,
I
Piggy.
think these are about eight weeks old now.
And what are the restrictions, or, you know, as soon as you start putting animals on the land, you're going to start having presumably more paperwork and red tape?
Yeah, we are doing our best to navigate those restrictions in the best way we can, because I think from looking at them, we sort of don't feel that all of the restrictions are necessarily there for the benefit of the land, the animals, or the people.
I'm sure they're not.
Exactly. And so it's finding the ways in which we can do things which we feel is the best for the animals.
Yes.
And so that's an ongoing challenge. But one of the exciting things is is connecting with different people within the community that have, you know, real amazing knowledge and experience in all of these different areas. So different people are contributing in different ways.
Because you're not really in isolation. You're talking to all sorts of different people who've been farming or traditional farming, and I know, you know, you're obviously looking for other plots of land as well. Tell me about the membership of it. Is it a private members organisation?
Essentially, that's the objective of getting ourselves set up as that. In terms of the model, basically the legal format of it all, we're still finalising and getting advice from all different angles in terms of the best structure to use. But the objective is we purchase land, and then we then distribute that land across the membership base. So everybody joining the project becomes a co-owner. And then, so with that, we've got a limited number of co-ownership spaces based on the amount of farm land that we're cultivating. So that provides people with that entry level of food sovereignty. So I think there's a lot of people that really understand the problems and the concerns about you know, where the food is coming from, and the ability to be able to access that in the future if there are supply chain breakdowns or, you know, other challenges that face the farming industry. And so that's the basic entry into the project. It's £975, and then from there we've got other options. But we're establishing basically a blueprint for building a model like this that can facilitate other communities around the country to be able to set up something similar that works on all levels, because we're at this moment where we need to straddle both systems, the one that's crumbling at the moment,
yes,
and stepping into something new. And it feels like it's a critical time in terms of gaining ownership of that land and putting it to good use.
And that's interesting you say that, because I do feel that there is a race on at the moment to claim the land for the people, rather than these dead entity corporations with their somewhat sort of excuses for the land, you know, the sort of the sequestration of carbon and the so-called green energies that they're putting into it, when actually we know that there's technology that's been hidden for the last 100 years, and the fact that people actually want to get on the land and grow stuff and have that connection, and we've all been pushed towards these little ghettos of towns and concrete and steel and glass, and no wonder people are miserable.
Yeah, that's right.
And when we saw you coming in and you still are smiling, you know, you're out here doing stuff, and so many people are absolutely interested in doing the same. I mean, it's a fascinating time to be alive.
It is, yeah, it's exciting.
Sheena.
Hello.
You are one of the members of My Little Farm.
I am indeed.
And you were telling me just before we were filming that you are not local.
No.
You come a distance.
Yes, I live in North Surrey near Kingston upon Thames.
Wow. So that's like, what, 60 miles, something like that?
So it's about an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. And you come all this way down into East Sussex to come. So what motivates you to do this?
Well, for a start, it's your fault.
Oh.
I saw the original podcast when you came to visit, and I was like really worried about the state of the world, where things seem to be going, and how far we'd come away from our humanity. And I just thought, no, that is such a good idea to focus on something positive, a place where I'd like the world to go, you know, getting back to nature. So yeah, I went for it. I came down, and I've sort of been one of the kind of investors.
Right.
And I love to come down as much as I can. I work full time, so it's not a lot. And the community here is wonderful.
Well, I was going to say, you know, I mean, half of the joy of this place must be the community.
Oh, and the animals, but yes.
And the wonderful animals, of course.
Yeah, no, so it is amazing. I'm glad I'm doing it. It makes me feel less helpless in the world.
Yes, yeah. Vicky, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Richard.
You are on My Little Farm, part of this wonderful flowering of growers and farmers, new farmers, but you're also an ambassador, is that right?
I'm a volunteer.
A volunteer of the People's
People's Food and Farming Alliance.
I knew I'd get it one way around. That we've had Catherine McBean
Yes,
on the show
that's
many
right,
times.
yeah.
So is there a connection between the two, or is that just happenstance that you
There is a connection. I started volunteering at the PFFA in April last year, and then I joined the farm here in May last year. And so because I'm doing so much work at the PFFA, I was talking about the My Little Farm. And so it's just kind of a natural crossover, really. Obviously, the PFFA is involved. You know, I talk about that here. I talk about it all everywhere.
Yes.
So.
And the thing is, I mean, you're getting hands-on experience.
Absolutely. I can't, like a year ago, I laughed to myself because a year ago, I knew zero about farming or anything to do with that. I'd only started growing vegetables in my garden the year prior. And now, because of the staff that we've got here, and I'm always asking them questions and bothering them and like, why are we doing this? So now I know loads. I know lots and lots, and I'm really good in the, you know, I'm much more confident now.
And this is the great thing about these sort of projects, is it's bringing you back to the land.
Yes.
And closer to the production of food.
Yes.
And, you know, we've gone through life, I mean, the majority of people not having that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a nutritional therapist, so for me, it's actually really lovely to now literally be planting my food and picking my food and then taking it home to eat it. Yes, last week we pulled like loads of leeks up and went home and cooked them, and there's nothing better. And you know, garden food tastes great, but we're getting it on it's much more hit and miss. They're much more successful than I am.
So what have you been doing today?
Today we've been planting potatoes.
Just let's talk about the pigs, because they're there, and I'm sure the audience will be absolutely fascinated. These are not the first piglets you've had, are they?
No, so these are the second lot. So these have come from our two sows. So they were born about 6 to 8 weeks ago now. I'm not too sure. So these.
And how easy is that? I mean, you know, you've not done this before.
No.
Suddenly little piglets are coming. Was that quite fun?
Yeah, it's been amazing actually. We're building a team of farmers here. That's the other thing. The key to the project is especially young farmers, first generation farmers, you know, gaining ownership or access to land, farming in a way that's viable to live a good living, live on the land. It's very hard. So we're putting those farmers back at the centre of our community. And so we've got farmers here that tending to the animals, tending to the vegetables. So I have a
so the knowledge base is coming to you. You're not sort of having to go, oh my God, what do we do? It's not that panic.
Which is, for us, really, really helpful, because it would be terrifying doing it without that support.
Yeah.
But that said, our two sows are incredible. You just leave them to it, and you know, they give birth overnight.
Nature knows.
They know what to do,
and
they gave birth with no problems.
So what do you do with them? I mean, presumably you're going to eat them. They're not pets.
Yeah, so these ones were born last year, so we can come and see these. These have been growing over the past. I think these are now 8 or 9 months old. So we've not slaughtered any pigs yet, so we're going to be crossing.
You've got that. How do you feel about that?
Oh, it's hard. It's really hard. Like my nutritional knowledge is very limited, but within the membership here, there's lots of nutritionists who really understand and tell me the importance of red meat for a good nutritional diet for a human. Yes. And so it seems that where we are right now, we need to eat these animals, and so we want to do it in the most respectful way that we can. We're navigating the limitations at the moment with slaughtering of the animals. The regulations state that they would need to go to an abattoir, and
that's tricky, isn't it?
It feels really hard.
Yes.
They know it. It feels like it's a place filled with fear and pain, and that's a hard thing to think that would be their last experience. So we want to find a way in which, establish the way that we can do that.
So, Law, How is it having animals on the farm? What's that like for you?
It's been so nice. It's really changed the feeling of the farm and the land. We got the chickens about this time last year, and then had pigs. So we got two sows and 2 boars, and then they had piglets. And I think, it changes the energy and the connection to the animals. And when we had the pigs, it was really important for me that the pigs didn't have any interventions and that they were completely left to do their own thing, because I trusted nature that they would know exactly what to do. So we didn't have any vets or any medication or anything. And then a week later, the other sow gave birth to her piglets. So it was just, and then we got the puppies at the same time. So it was just last year, it was just so many babies everywhere.
All happening.
yeah, it was really lovely.
Nice.
Just because they're beautiful things.
You've got over here, I remember we walked through your fruit forest.
Yes, this is our fruit
now,
forest.
Of course, not a huge amount of change, I imagine, in trees, because they're much slower to grow. But even so, I can see the saplings are really sprouting up, and what a great time to come with the blossom on the apple tree. I assume
that's
that is
right. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's amazing how quickly this food forest comes to life as the season progresses.
Yes.
In a month or two, it will look completely different. So yeah, Julia, our forest gardener, she looks after all of the flowers, the trees, the hedgerows, and the forest garden here. So yeah, it's doing an amazing job with it. It's really coming to life. And these parts of the farm and the project, they're an investment for future generations.
Yes.
They're a long-term thing. And we've got our chickens just here.
Chickens. Let's have a look at the chickens. Everybody loves the chickens. Hello, chickens.
So we'll be expanding the flock. I think we've got about 30 at the moment, and the intention is to expand that to 300 over the next year. And so they will be living in 1 acre of pasture up here.
Yeah.
So they'll be free roaming. And then we're toying with the idea of rotating them with the cows, the Jersey cows that will be. They're coming soon. We wanted to.
So you're going to have cows?
Yeah, 2 Jersey cows for raw milk. We wanted them in last year, but another one of the regulations, the farmer that we were buying them from had a positive TB test, and that led to limitations.
Oh, right, yes.
And there's so many comparisons with 2020 and the farming restrictions. It's funny. With the chickens, there've been flock downs, they call them, where there's sort of fears
avian
of
bird flu and all this sort of stuff, and registering them and
all of that stuff. And I think we've got to.
And it's
put
so
our foot down at some
isn't
point.
it strange? I mean, it's not strange when you're in the know, but the government, the so-called benevolent, kind government that wants to look after us, or does they really want to control us left, right, and centre? They don't really want you doing this, do they?
I don't think no, and I think that's the thing, is building the ways in which we can provide resistance to those challenges. We're, expecting those challenges to come our way and to have the knock on the door at some point. And so it's being prepared to be able to stand our ground.
It's been so great to return here to my little farm after a year and see the amazing progress that's happened. And it seems to me that surely this is the future for many, many people up and down the land. These sort of projects, regenerative farming, bringing people back into connection with the soil, appreciating the value of food and what it does to one's health, and the energy you get from working the land. My thanks to Kiva and Law and all the people at my little farm, and thank you for watching.